We know how exciting this is going to be. We're Go-To Meals has donated 52 weeks of 5 meals a week. That's a $1,900 value, and we're hoping to triple that or double that. We're going to do some competitions and raise the bar. So, but anyway, one other thing, if I have time, it is 1 year since we put some benches and picnic table in the park. So next month, May, I'll be talking to the Parks and Recreation Commission about what do we do next. There's some money left. We did talk last year that they didn't want to put a whole bunch of stuff in there all one time, like see what we can do. You know, people are using it, which is great. There is an area to put another picnic table and maybe a bench or one or the other, pay for some of the cement, because I know that that's a big cost, and the city was very generous and paid for that. So, but thank you for your time. Thank you, Tony, for giving me a little extra minute, and I appreciate you. If you want to fill the form out and give it back to me, I'll be happy to bring it down for you. And again, everyone at St. Susan's wants to thank publicly all of their volunteers, because without them, we wouldn't run it. So,
Thank you.
Can you hold on a minute, we're having live stream issues.
all of that wasn't it. No, I'm just kidding.
Give the host speech over.
Can I just do it now?
Fixed.
Great.
Yep.
You good?
Yep.
All
Blood
right.
pressure was a little high.
Don't be nervous. All right. I don't see anybody else here from the public, so we'll move on. Bill, you want to do housing?
Sure, thank you, Mr. President. We had someone from the public come and speak. Missy Paternini, Faulkner Street. And some of the discussion was about abandoned and unregistered vehicles, particularly near her residence on Faulkner Street and one on Arlington. And the general discussion was it's an ongoing problem, and we had discussion on how the Department of Development's hands are tied in many cases and are removing those cars and getting plates and names and whether or not the vehicles are registered properly or not. And so it's an ongoing problem. She also mentioned just again about fire starting kits being given to homeless people, and we certainly had not heard about that, and probably not a great idea. Maybe we won't have to worry about it with the nice weather coming. Also, there was a discussion on a dumpster being on East 4th Street in front of Maurice's. Been there a month and a half. So we're, Casey Falk, who's here tonight from the department, is gonna have some folks look into why that's,
Because he's demoing.
it's not done yet?
No. No, I just toured it the other day.
You did?
It's a massive demo.
Well, I got 2 calls about, people that go to the Y and were wondering how long it was gonna be there because they were concerned about parking once the outdoor unit goes up.
He got a permit and paid for the permit for it to be there. I don't know, he ran into some difficulty demoing, so.
Okay.
Okay, glad that was addressed. Casey has some handouts. Most of us have some of them, but it has to do with the HUD annual action plan, the dates, the places, the times, and but also in a sense a mini PowerPoint, and it's pretty basic on explaining what the program's all about. I don't think we have to go into great detail about it because it's an every year deal to get these funds through HUD. So we're glad to have Casey explain it to the Housing Committee, and if anybody has any questions on it, we certainly could have Casey explain it. She's championed this effort, and the concern was not, it's a mandatory exercise for the application, but it's not well attended, I should say, in some cases, for the different locations. Maybe at the May 6th Housing Committee, we'll have some folks, and maybe at the public hearing on May 20th, we'll have some folks voice some interest, concerns, or ideas on what we can spend some of this money on. part of the discussion also entailed, maybe we could have a housing symposium of some sort for other than HUD-related income status, and have investors, developers, contractors, planning commission, Department of Development, zoning folks, have some sort of a round robin similar to retool that the BPU did to offer ideas and suggestions for improving our housing throughout the city, and hopefully enticing folks to invest and maybe build some new homes and get involved. Also mentioned was the article in the paper about the planning commission with the new chairman wanting to streamline that operation, and we in the house committee thought that was a good thing that needed to be done to keep things moving along when it comes to site plan approvals and the like. Also talked, and it's 78 pages long, I've not gone to this website, but the county paid a company, MRB Group, to do a study on the Chautauqua County Housing Market Assessment and Development Strategy for the County Partnership for Economic Growth. And I rattled off some of the, if you haven't seen the newspaper article, some of the numbers of the houses, some owner occupied and some cost burden rental occupied homes. It's 3 to 1, the rentals over the owner occupied, but it'll be interesting to see how the housing committee, the city council, the Department of Development, all of us can glean some information from this study as it's being released to the public as we speak. So that was, we had some lively discussion. It was good to have a meeting.
Any questions? No, we'll move on to finance. Brett?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes,
Ten resolutions on our committee. The first is to accept funding under the New York State Discovery Grant Program for 2024, in the amount of $20,000 to the police department. This will benefit the Detectives Bureau in purchasing much needed equipment. That was approved. And the second resolution was for the police department to purchase a dry safe from Searchy in North Carolina. The total price of $14,900.26. We approved money last year, but excess money will be coming from DWI fines. And this is to protect evidence and personnel. That was approved. Next was to enter into an agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation to share services, exchange or lend materials and equipment. Promote and assist the maintenance of state municipal highways and roads, not to exceed $25,000. The agreement is for a period of 4 years. Did have a question from Mark. Was $25,000 over the 4-year period?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I'll get an answer on that.
That seems a little low to me.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's probably on a yearly basis, and it's 25,000.
Okay. So, yeah, if we can clarify that and what was approved. The next is to apply an application for Restore New York funding for the Prendergast Landing, 106 to 108 Fairmont Avenue. Second one for the Furniture Mart redevelopment on 111 West 2nd Street. This was for a total of up to $2 million for both projects here. Those were both approved. Number 6 was designated additional $73,316.50 in American Rescue Plan Act Lost Revenue Funds for the purpose of funding and implementation of the Springbrook ERP project from the Comptroller's office. Comptroller went over the items that were things that increased or were omitted from the original quote. Erica, do you wanna go over that again, quick?
I can, yeah. The increase is due to the increased costs incurred with the push of the implementation from December to March with a change in the administration and the exit of the previous deputy comptroller, not investing money in training her when she was going to leave. Some subscription costs between the time of quote and the time of invoice went up 7%. There were a couple of the pieces of the plan, the employee self-service and the accounts receivable subscriptions were excluded, omitted from the original request, and with the 7% increase, that's $15,632. There is a invoice for the initial subscriptions dated April 23 that I am pushing back with Springbrook on because we haven't really, in 23, we didn't really touch that. So it's included in here on the off chance that they tell us that we signed the contract and we just have to deal. But I am pushing back, and I talked to Vice President Cody, I think it's Cody White last week, and he's supposed to call me back this week with some history, and we're supposed to share what we have found, and hopefully he can read the same contract that I said first login. There were some additional hours, 100 hours more for the implementation of the AP and GL. They're investigating that because their initial quote was 110 hours. It came in at 210, so that was another $14,000. And because of that, I have asked them to confirm that the implementation of the payroll module and the tax collection module, the quoted hours are enough so that we know ahead of time whether or not we need to plan for more. And because of the in-depth discussions related to the configuration, the discovery of our processes, training time, I'm asking for $10,000 to cover overtime costs for not just my department, but for the Treasury Department, for anybody who has to take time from their regular work to help with the implementation of the project, because I know my department, the budget did not consider enough overtime to handle some of these extra time that the staff would need to help the consultants with the implementation of the projects. So,
Do you know what the original number was that we?
91,000,
There's some change,
684,
684, I
I
think.
think, something like that.
So is it fair to say that we were not given accurate numbers prior, and then on top of that, costs have increased for this program? Is that fair to say?
Between the time of the quote, which was May of 22, and the first subscription, there was 7%. Yes, for that, I'm hesitant to say that. I need Cody to come back and tell me why the hours were so much more for the AP and GL implementation.
Because, we're going from 91,000, now we're tacking on another 73,000.
Yes, yes,
It's not like another $730.
no. I am trying on that 19,000. So that would, if I get that, it won't be that much. But
I guess I wanna know why, why is this increasing by 73,000? I mean, is it,
well,
were we provided with inaccurate numbers or inaccurate information? I mean, did someone,
Honestly,
in the prior administration, I mean, why did we jump at 73 grand?
I think the hours required to do an ERP systems change was way understated.
And there is I am asking why we have to pay the 19 for these subscriptions that we didn't even touch until later in the year. And I'm pushing back with them hard on that one.
I guess I'm just getting a little frustrated with things doubling.
I
From
I
the building on
completely
Washington Street
understand.
to now,
Mhm.
and everyone just doesn't seem to know why. That's what's frustrating to me.
Thank you. That resolution is approved. Next resolution is the Jamestown Police Department is authorized an agreement with Robert Green Auto and Truck of Rockville, New York, to purchase two 2024 Dodge Durango trucks, utilized as police vehicles. Total purchase price is $84,695.60. It's a state contract price. It wasn't the capital budget for this year. That was approved. The next is enter an agreement with R. Patty Concrete Excavating of Jamestown, New York, for street reconstruction 2024 on West Virginia Boulevard, for various flat work, gutters, stone, EDA cast iron protected wiring plates. For an amount of $177,907.50. This was the lowest of 5 bidders. That's approved. Next is a resolution, to agreement with R. Patty Concrete Excavating for street reconstruction, Superior Street 2024. We back up. The last one is CHIPS money on West Virginia Boulevard. This is going to be CDBG funds. Flat work, gutter cutting, replacement, wiring plates, and landscape reservation. The low bid was $166,169.50. They were the lowest of 3 bidders. That was approved. And finally, we have authorization to purchase from Henderson Products in Watertown, New York, a Sourcewell contract for a new 2026 model year Freightliner chassis with a Henderson body and all package dump plow truck. Replace DPW unit number 28 for a total amount not to exceed $273,280.01. Capital funds, and delivery on this is expected in about 18 months. First quarter 2025. That's why it's a 2026 model. That was approved. And that's all we have.
Thank you. Any questions? Not, we'll move on to public safety. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 4 resolutions. A couple of them do appear on finance as well. The first resolution is Detective Craig Damon being hereby is authorized to attend the FBI Post-Blast Investigator School to be held at State Preparedness Training Center in Oriskany, New York from May 19th through May 24th, 2024. The meal and gas expenses paid by the Jamestown Police Department pursuant to Section 77B of the General Municipal Laws of the State of New York. The chief informed us that this is the first time that they've sent anyone for this school, and exactly what it's if there was a bomb, then this person would be trained to be able to investigate an incident like that. And that passed. The second resolution resolved that fire investigators Andrew Caruso, Ryan Saunders, Adam Aiken, and Emily Webster be hereby authorized to attend the International Association of Arson Investigators Annual Fire Arson Investigation Seminar to be held at Embassy Suites by Hilton in Saratoga Springs, New York, beginning Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, and concluding on Friday, May 24th, 2024, with fees and expenses paid pursuant to Section 77B of the General Municipal Law. Chief Kuhn said this is a different location. You can expand on that if you want, Chief, than normally, but this is standardized training that they go to at a different location, different school, and you can explain why.
That's correct. So, council members, if I may, so this year's request for fire investigation training fulfills the annual requirement for these investigators. Our normal course of business would be to have the investigators go down to the fire academy in the fall. Due to the ongoing renovation project at the academy, we can't confirm the dates that will occur this year. And this is a different group that they would be going to receive education from. The International Association of Arson Investigators is a group that's our fire investigators have previously not been exposed to. This will give them membership into that organization. In addition to, they'll be able to have access to additional training opportunities. A lot of it's going to be online and textbook based that they can also share with other investigators that are on their team. And this would be in lieu of going to the fall seminar that traditionally that they attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That resolution did pass. The third one was also the one on finance for the Jamestown Police Department is hereby authorized to enter into a purchase agreement for the two Dodge Durangos. The cost of $84,695.60. The chief did state that those are going to be replacing some frontline patrol vehicles that have an excess of 100,000 miles on them, so they are needed. And the funds approved in the 2024 budget capital request to purchase these vehicles. That did pass. And the fourth one, also on finance, resolved Jamestown Police Department being hereby is authorized to purchase a dry safe Searchy 100 place Youngsville, North Carolina 27596. Total purchase price is $14,926 or $14,926. And that will also come through the 2024 budget capital requests, as well as money obtained through DWI fines. That's to store evidence properly, which it's great to have. I mean, Bill and I never had that. That's if you have, say, blood-soaked clothes or something like that, and they need to be dried properly and kept safe for evidentiary purposes. That's what this unit is for. So that passed as well. And then we had a number of special events. The first one is the Labyrinth Summer Music Series to be held on various dates and times from May 1st to September 30th, 2024. Performances will be on the top landing of their outdoor staircase with occasional musicians roaming with a microphone to interact with the patrons. The patrons they were talking about was the parklet that'll be out front. Breakdown we said was at 9 o'clock, so it'll end then. This has occurred every year. It's great to have that there and people to enjoy music outside and dine outside in the parklet. So that passed. The next one was a special event, Faith in Blue community event to be held on Saturday, May 11, 2024 from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m., including setup and teardown at Jackson Taylor Park. This is being put on by, I think that's a Saturday, May 11th, by Sheriff Quattrone and Deputy Phil Lombardo from the Sheriff's Department. There is going to be some recorded music, and it's just sharing their faith as police officers, and anyone's welcome. That passed. The next event was Move Chautauqua to be held on Saturday, May 25th, 2024 from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. through the city of Jamestown and parts of the town of Ellicott, and we were provided maps. And the Jamestown Police Department is going to be involved for traffic along with the town of Ellicott. There was an incurred cost for the police presence, but that's going to be taken care of by the event themselves. That passed as well. The next special event was River Revival, to be held on Saturday, June 29th, 2024 from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., including setup and teardown at McCray Point. That's being handled through Deputy Chief Forrester and Dan Stone. There was a question that I brought up, there's gonna be, beer, wine, I don't think there's liquor, but beer and wine being served at that event. So the concern I had was, how's that gonna be regulated? Is it gonna be roped off? Is there gonna be bracelets? Who's checking ID? We really weren't quite sure on that, so we did table that until we can get those questions, answered. I'm gonna make a phone call to Dan Stone or, Deputy Chief Forrester and try to get more information on that before we push that through. And the last special event was, fireworks at Tarp Skunks Games, July 1st, 2024, July 26th, 2024, following the Tarp Skunks Games at Russell E. Dietrich Park, which is same company's doing it as every year, and it's an annual event, and that passed as well. Joe did bring up a couple things. Joe, you want to mention them? Go ahead.
Sure. One was basically a stop sign or a yield sign on the corner of, it's not really a corner, but, intersection of Norton and Ohio going up. I've lived there for forever, and I never realized there was never anything there. I've always just stopped. So we're requesting that some sort of traffic, whether it's a yield or a stop sign, be put going west. And I think the other one was I had a couple questions regarding the installation of the requested lights from the BPU, when they may be put in. I think we requested 3 back maybe in January, and now's the time of year to get them up, so we're hoping that those targeted areas that we wanted the requests for those lighting units to go up will be up soon.
Downtown?
There's one down by, no, there's one on Highland, there's one
You mean like
on,
streetlights?
yeah, streetlights.
Fenton Park.
Fenton Park, and one down by the college, right? Isn't it Roger Torrey?
On Curtis.
Curtis.
They've
So I
already-
don't know if those are
We
out yet or
approved
not.
them, we're just
Yeah.
waiting for them to vote.
Yeah, we voted and approved.
Right.
And then
Oh.
Crystal's not here, but the house at Palmer.
Yeah, there's a house on the corner of Palmer and Highland again that has been condemned, hole in the roof. But the bigger concern, along with that house being, just a mess, is the dead shrubbery that's overhanging into the walkways, the city walkways, sidewalks. It's a highly traveled walking school district for elementary, and we were hoping that maybe the Parks Department could possibly get in there and take some of that shrubbery, the dead shrubbery, away from the sidewalk so nobody has to walk in the street.
Depends on where the house is at, I would assume,
It's right on the corner
No.
of, yeah.
legally,
Oh, where the,
possession wise.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I'll look into it tomorrow.
Thank you.
And then I brought up, I had a resident have a brief conversation with me about smoking downtown. They were upset that often when they're downtown around places like Crown Street or other establishments, there's people smoking right out in front of these establishments, whether it be marijuana or cigarettes. Their big concern was now it's parklet season, they're gonna be putting parklets out there, and they find it very annoying that they have to be subjected to either cigarette smoke or marijuana smoke right in front of coffee shops or restaurants. Person wanted to know if there was anything in public health law, if they had to be so many feet from an establishment like that. If there's not something in the public health law, they asked if we could come up with some sort of city ordinance. I said, I don't know, I mean, it's obviously the use of marijuana publicly is legal now, and I don't know if we can come up with an ordinance to supersede the law, New York State law on that. So that's more of a corporation council question, I guess. We can have that conversation later on, or you can interject, or.
I will say the nuisance officer has already ticketed quite a few people for smoking and throwing down their butts, that's considered a littering charge.
Sure.
I do think, within a certain feet limit of a building could be illegal, something we could look into.
Okay.
And that's something I can look into for you.
I just promised him I'd get back to him, so I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Armando, and that's all we had.
Okay. Randy, Public Works?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We had 5 resolutions, and all of which were approved. And the one would be to backfill the Department of Public Works with a labor position. And that there was a resignation, and they're gonna backfill that. And of course, the other one was the new plow truck. And like Brent said, 12 to 18 months before it arrives. And some flat work on Superior Street. Fees for travel baseball and softball, adult flag football also. I think took a slight increase too. $125 a game, which includes practice time. Adult flag is $200 per team, and adult softball is $365 per team. So that also was approved. You got handed out some site plans here for work that's going to be done actually near the 2 splash pads, one at Allen Park. And you can see where West Virginia Boulevard is there. And that's where the flat work for that our patty's gonna do. And the diagonal parking is going to be eliminated. And we're gonna probably park them on one side and possibly alternate parking, but like we discussed, there is no there's no houses there for street numbers, so that would have to be addressed if we did alternate parking. But they're going to so rearrange the parking there and put curbing in and pave that section that you guys can see there to Elizabeth Avenue down to near where Allen Park starts on West Virginia Boulevard. There's also going to be a parking lot you might see there in the middle. Going to cut a new curb. One's already there. Going to cut a curb for ramps. Splash pad is there to the right, and there's plenty of parking right across the street from the splash pad if people didn't want to go to the parking area, the new parking area. Another one on the next page would be a new sidewalk that's going to go in on that where 13th Street comes down. That's gonna go right by the splash pad, and so new sidewalk there to past the existing bathrooms and all the way up to the other bathroom. There will be also a parking that's gonna be made available there also, as you guys can see. And there's gonna be new curbing on actually 13th Street also. Paving to be determined at a later date on 13th Street. Those are that's where you see some of the concrete estimates that we just got. And as far as the splash pads, they are on schedule from what Mark has talked about. They should be up and running, and Regina had expressed interest in hopefully that we're going to have the one at Jackson Taylor done by when Juneteenth happens, which is the 14th.
14th and 16th.
Yeah, and Mark thinks that we are on schedule to have that done by then, which will be nice for that to happen down there for that event. And the other one at Allen Park is, I looked at it the other day, they're doing very well. I think they have almost everything as far as setup in place, right?
Yeah, so for the splash pads, Allen Park, they're basically ready for concrete. The installers worked there for about a week and a half. They moved to Jackson Taylor Park today. So in a week and a half, they should be ready for concrete, and then they're gonna do both at the same time. The project for West Virginia includes an entire road reconstruction from basically Gwendolyn to Elizabeth Street with all new curbs, all new sidewalks. So new crosswalks, new parking. There's a lot of new sidewalks in the park that will connect all the way from Gwendolyn to Elizabeth, where there's existing sidewalks. It connects all the way through the park. We get a lot of kids who walk from the school and just walk down Elizabeth Street, so that hopefully the sidewalk will help some of them get off of the street. But I'm happy to answer any questions on either of the projects.
So it'll be just one summer, it'll be
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So the road is just about ready for curbs. It'll be ready within another week or so. The parking lot's currently being worked on, so that should be ready in about a week, and then we'll transition to getting the sidewalks ready for the concrete contractor. We think we'll be able to have both of the splash pads operational by early June.
You run into any issues with those as far as?
The one issue that we've had so far is plumbing prices. So the installer that we have is the same installer that we bought the equipment from, the system from. They do the installation as well. But we're responsible to take the water, or get the water to the splash pad, and then from it, the prices came back a lot higher than we thought in our bids. So we're working with the BPU to do a joint project there and get those prices down. But other than that, things have been pretty good as far as budget.
Excellent, thank you.
When did we, I don't know if we mentioned it, the completion of West Virginia approximately? I know you don't know.
That'll be June. It'll be around the same time.
Okay.
Hopefully the splash pad will be done.
That would be nice, rather than have it dug up
Yeah.
the whole summer.
The splash pads will probably be operational before all of the sidewalk and everything is done, but they'll be pretty close together.
Okay.
Hours of operation for the splash pads will just basically follow the park hours?
Yep, same as the park hours.
Which they might close on cool days, or?
I imagine we'll have a turn on and
Days,
turn on and
yeah.
shut off, yeah.
Yeah, so on days that they know that they're not gonna be using it, they're gonna kill the water to it.
Mhm.
And as we know, we heard before, it's gonna be a push button system, so it's just not gonna be running all the time.
Yeah.
Be like a hot tub when you go to a hotel, you get timed out.
Mhm.
So, other than that, Regina and was quite asking how the pedestrian crossing is on 13th, and Mark said it was mentioned to the DOT, and there's some certain avenues that they have to go through to see if it's going to be feasible and what they are going to be looking at. So that still is in the making on 13th across Washington Street. And I believe that's everything that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Kim, you're up.
Okay, I only have a few quick things for open session and then one item for executive session, no action to be taken, just informational update on litigation, ongoing litigation. You all saw on the agenda today that you had the Restore New York grant application in front of you. I wanted to update you. Paula was on vacation, is back, but her and Joe have been very active in putting in a whole bunch of congressional grants applications for quite a bit of things. Those are all, unfortunately, we did not get any last year. We're hoping that this year we did get some. So In addition, we have solicited a lot of letters of support from local people, and in turn, other agencies that are submitting them, like the Zone or other agencies, we have also written some letters of support. So hopefully by next month, we can get an update for you from Paula on where we are on things. As far as she's been pumping out an awful lot of grants. She is working on some shared services grants, as well as some stuff. Is she doing one for you right now too? No, okay. I know she's working with BPU on some stuff. She's got her hands in a lot of things right now. So we'll give you an update about that. You all should have gotten an email from Pat Smeraldo regarding the Memorial Day Parade, which will take place on Monday, May 27th. Please make sure you let him know if you're going to participate. We're still in discussions about the finality of the route and some other things around there. Later this week, we have the National League of Cities in town for 2 days. They will be meeting throughout the city, both in City Hall and both throughout multiple manufacturing businesses regarding the Good Jobs, Great Cities. I do have this calendar of the schedule. Todd Tranum has organized that with staff from DOD. A lot of things going on in addition to touring manufacturers, meetings discussing about the Good Jobs, Great Cities Plan grant that was won in the past. So that's kind of exciting. We get to show off some things. So speaking of that, I've spent the last week and a half pretty much touring the major ARPA recipients as well as many manufacturers. I'm not done yet. I still have quite a few to go to. But a lot of good things happening in Jamestown. I don't think I was at all surprised at what is going on in the manufacturing world, but it's interesting to note that of the names of places that Jamestown hits the mark on of things that they could talk about that were not confidential, we have companies here working on things that go into not only space rockets, go into a lot of aviation, a lot of stuff for New York City and the metro system, both subway and rail car, Navy, government stuff. It's really quite amazing when you hear some of the customers and some of the things that are actually happening here. So for anyone who says that Jamestown manufacturing is not prevalent and not real strong, I beg to differ. So it was really exciting, and I look forward to attending the rest of them. It was a great thing. A lot of things happening in the ARPA awards that were given. Some still working on. For example, the Labyrinth expansion is a lot of logistics between those two buildings. So the construction and remediation probably has taken the longest of any of them, I will say. Then another thing we were advised about today is just be prepared that annual flushing of the main starts May 3rd through the 15th. And also in the BPU meeting today, we had a discussion and a vote on the annexation for an annexation update. The BPU has decided to terms of agreement with the litigation on that. We went into executive session. It's to fully, in principle, to fully settle the pending annexation proceedings commenced by the city of Jamestown, and it's a 20% reduction in the current assessed value. That was approved through the BPU. You will hear about it in the media because the next step is it has to go to all the other agencies involved, so the Village of Faulkner, Town of Ellicott, the school board in Faulkner, and then come to this council for a vote. Dave Leathers will be coming next month for a full update on that. And that is all I have for open session.
Okay, we're good.
Quick, short,
We
and
do
to the
have one
point.
item for
Executive session.
ongoing litigation.
Quick, no action.
One thing, that's come up through some emails and phone calls, the forever dialogue on the deer. And we need to somehow get prepared to put something together, some sort of commission or citizens group where they can come in and give us their input. to include the experts, the health department people that count. I'm not sure where this body fits in creating that other commission or something. But, it's starting to surface again as deer are moving around and the fall's not too far away. So I don't have the answer where to kickstart that, so to speak, so.
I'll have to reach out to the other committee then, if that's what your pleasure is. Well, you know, I talked to Joe about it and other council people, that anything that we would work on would probably be over the summer to, if there's anything to be enacted for later of the year, end of the year. Okay, do I have a motion to go into executive session? So moved, second.
So the only one who needs to remain, I think, is Elliot.
Anybody else? Okay.
You gave me two.